All this SBK action is proudly brought to you by NGK Spark Plugs, Bridgestone Tires, and Hero Motorcycling. Welcome to Aldo Scribante in Kwabacha, Port Elizabeth as it used to be known. No fans other than that big one on the side of the circuit. So we've got some great action about to take place here for the second round of the National Superbike Championship, proudly brought to you by NGK, Bridgestone, and Hero Motorcycles. Great to see some big development happening down at the Algoa Motorsport Club. Racing development definitely building the future, and Paddy Bensky handing over to Dylan Grobler, 250cc Honda that he's going to pilot for the rest of the season. Great to see that development happening, and look out for that man in the future, looking to emulate his hero, number 46, Valentino. In Cape Town, it was all about the big action kicking off for 2021 South African Superbike Championship, and a big battle expected with the local boys putting in a valiant effort. David McFadden certainly looked like he was the man to beat, but Clint Seller was going to give him a good run for his money, and the two of them went at it for a big time. At the front end of the field, it was a big battle between the two of them. A couple of 600cc's thrown into the mix, and of course some local contenders that are always big when it comes to the Killarney International Raceway. The wild cards were in it and tend to run at the front, but they were left in the wake of David McFadden, who led things out right from the word go and basically wasn't touched. A little bit of development still happening out on the HRC machine of Clint Seller for King Price Extreme. He's going to have to get that bike sorted out by the time we get him to PE and to the second round. At the end of the day, it was all about David McFadden, and he took the victory cleanly over Clint Seller. In the second race, it was all about Seller and McFadden again. This time, Seller staying right there with McFadden with a couple of changes to the bike. It looks like he seemed to have found a little bit of the edge that was required to stay with David McFadden into the closing stages. But the second race, definitely a lot hotter than the first. We saw Garrick Flock right up there with McFadden and Seller, pushing them hard. A little bit of banging bars between the three of them, and great to see the action that was being put on by McFadden, Seller, and Flock. Flock, unfortunately, with a bit of an issue, and the R1's engine said no more. He had to pull off and DNF for the second heat, taking him out of contention for the overall championship points as well. A big push coming out of Gareth Gaelig, a little bit further back, and maybe a little bit off the pace on his Kawasaki, but certainly looking like he could potentially be there at the next round in PE. By the end of the day, it was David McFadden that took things, and a double victory secured him the championship lead ahead of Clint Seller. And then it was Gareth Gaelig up in a third place, beating out Garrick Flock with that DNF. Looking forward to all the action now in PE as we head to the Friendly City, see what's going to happen in round 2 of the NGK SBK. Down to the Friendly City and the Windy City, because a bit of wind this morning has picked up. A couple of new riders thrown into the mix as well, and a couple of old ones making a welcome return. Dave's down in pit lane to catch up with him. Let's get down there.
Michael coming to the Nationals and the NGK SBK. It's a big step up for you, eh?
It's actually a great honor to be here. I've never done any Nationals in my life, so this was one of the bucket lists, and coming all the way from Cape Town, with Donnie Mills Racing, it's going to be a good one. And
PE track for you, what do you think?
Loving it. It's obviously way different than Cape Town, but I think we can make it work today.
So Fiso, you've changed the Honda. We spoke about that before. Looks like you've got the Honda working quite a lot better around here in PE.
Well, it's not 100%, but it's a good bike so far. We just have minor issues with the gear shift up and down, but we'll have to see how it goes on the warm-up. We made some changes there.
And the PE track for you?
It's so awesome, and the level of grip. I wish I could take this track back to Gauteng, but I think that's why it's here. So we travel, we meet the great people here, but the track is so awesome. I like it.
Brett, 600, making it really sing around you. We've been watching you during practice. Looks like you've got it going really well.
Yeah, I'm feeling good. The track feels super nice, especially compared to Cape Town. It would have been nice if there were a couple more 600 riders, but it's lots of fun dicing with the 1,000 riders, seeing how I can do against them.
Clint Seller, it's been a bit of a learning curve on the new Honda for you?
Yeah, absolutely. New bike, new everything, new geometry, new setup, new feel. Yeah, it's all been completely different. Definitely got muscles that are stiff now that have never been stiff before, because we've changed riding position about 5 or 6 times. But yeah, definitely big steps forward we've made in the last couple of weeks. So bike feels really good and starting to get comfortable and can sort of give it a bit of horns now.
So McFadden, it looks like it's becoming a real setup between yourself and Clint. Looks like it's interesting here in PE.
Yeah, for sure. I think most of the year it's just going to be between me and Clint at the end of the day. So it'll be nice to have some more guys in the mix and hopefully more guys come to race with us because, you know, you want to have as many oaks together racing for a race win. Yeah, Clint's bike and the team going well, and we're trying some stuff that at the moment hasn't been working. So we're just trying to get the bike back to where we were and just see if we can get it right and be there in the race and just enjoy racing,
Championship lead is with McFadden. Seller looking to try and close that championship lead down today, possibly with 2 victories with the kind of pace he's set so far as they roll out onto the circuit for the very first time and make their way around the Aldo Scribante circuit. Expect a big battle once again between Seller and McFadden, and there as well between Lubalo Nsana, Sifiso Temba and the new man Michael Dutoy. Catch us after the break for more action and race 1 coming to you from PE. The windy city of Quebec is going to see some incredible action now from the NGK SA SBK race 1 of the day. Seller, McFadden and Roberts on the front row. And Roberts changing his class right in the closing stages here to get going. He's going to be running in the Bridgestone Superbikes as they head down towards turn 1. It's a good start from the 600cc rider. You can see a little bit extra pace off the line, but of course he's going to be blitzed by the Lita bikes as they head down towards turn 1. On the inside, a good start as well coming out of Hendrik de Bruin. He moves up into 4th place just behind Roberts as they pitch it over onto the right-hand side for the very first time in anger. Lubalo just ahead of Michael Dutoy. Michael Dutoy just ahead of Sifiso Temba, the second of the King Price Extreme bikes as they come into the S's for the first time. Good start there from Sifiso. Great start coming out of Roberts. He tucks in between the 3 litre bikes at the front end. Hendrik de Bruin, maybe a little bit of rust out there for him. He'll have to get his pace up to get through on the 600cc rider ahead of him. Late braking there from McFadden, trying to stay with Seller. Does not want Seller to get away. That is definitely something he cannot afford to do. To try and maintain the lead of this championship, he's got to stay in contention with the man out front and the number 1 plate from last year. He wants that number 1 plate back again on the 69 Lights by Linear and Stunt SA bike. And the RPM Centre boys have been working hard to get some pace up into McFadden. But as they come through and to the top into the final corner, Lubalo and Nsana starting to open up a bit of a margin now in the Bridgestones. For second place, remember, the 600cc up the road of Roberts is the first place and leading bike in the Bridgestone Championship. But second place, very much up for grabs there between Dutoy, Temba and Nsana. Down into turn 1 again, and looks like a little bit of a margin opened up there. Oh, it's lovely to see a little bit of slow-mo through there. Almost knee dragging on the inside curb there from McFadden. McFlash definitely trying to stay with it and stay in contention there with Seller. They come out of the fastest right-hander here and up towards the hairpin. Late on the brakes down towards... Oh, man, that is so late from McFadden trying to close things down. Same thing here from Hendrik de Bruin. Trailing that leg and trying to find a way through on the 600. He's got the extra squirt down the straight, but here in the twisty bits, that little 600cc of Brett Roberts is absolutely hauling and looking for a possible win here in the Bridgestone Superbike category. Heading up towards the final corner. Late braking coming out of the 1000cc, but of course the corner speed of that 600cc is going to allow Roberts to hang on. Let's see whether or not we can see a move here from Hendrik de Bruin to get through on Roberts. Get on the loud pedal as quickly as possible. You can see, look at the gap that's opened up here. Wow. Seller just put in a stonker of a lap, getting close to lap record time here on the Bridgestone, showing just how good those tyres are down in PE. It's a great surface now that they've done the whole resurface here. Dutoy moving through nicely. He's up to 3rd place ahead of Sifiso Temba. Temba's lost a little bit of ground there to Michael Dutoy. Looks like Dutoy trying to close things down there on Lubalo and Nsana. Same thing that's happening here for 2nd and 1st place. No answer just yet though coming out of McFadden. And he can't bridge that gap that Seller's opened up. Sifiso Temba currently down in 4th place in the Bridgestone Superbikes as he goes through a very fast sweep. Yellow flags up there. If we lost a rider, possibly yes, I think it could be Lubalo and Nsana. Nsana's gone down here at the hairpin. That's going to move these 2 boys up. And it's going to move Martin Veed up as well. Veed going to moving up into 4th place overall in the Bridgestone Superbikes. That's not what the 600cc rider expected there, but he'll take it. There's no doubt about it. A welcome return for him back into National Championship racing. This man has just absolutely put in the perfect race of the year for him. And I can tell you, Seller in this kind of form is difficult to beat. They've definitely done the development on that bike and got it working nicely. And the R1 behind him has got no answer to the Fireblade that leads things out at the moment. And I think there'll be a little bit of chopping and changing in between the two heats to get that bike up to pace again for David McFadden. Similar to what we saw in Cape Town. Michael du Toit up to second place now in the Bridgestone Superbikes. Behind him, Sifiso Temba trying to close things down. In fact, Temba can smell a second place there. That's why he's probably up the pace of his Honda. Similar kind of pace to what we're seeing there from Sella. Sella's now settled down into a rhythm. Roberts still hanging on the lights by linear, 600cc. No worries at all for him. Third place overall and first in the Bridgestone Superbikes. He's pulled a big gap now over Hendrik de Bruin. De Bruin going to settle possibly for that third place. De Bruin getting a third place here and possibly 2 third places on the day will move him up into contention for third place overall in the championship as well on his welcome return to National Superbike Racing. Brett Roberts is just loving life out there on this machine. Comes from a motocross background. We see a couple of offs from his side of things in his early part of his career in circuit racing. This is a nice shot there of Sella coming out of the hairpin. Oh, big wheelie, power wheelie down the hill into Chevy, and that's why he's pulled a huge gap. And it looks like McFadden is going to have to settle for second place here. There's no answer at all coming out of that RPM Stunt SA and Lights by Linear R1. Sella's got it all right, and he's done it all right to perfection. Coming up on Martin Veed. Veed might just not be able to survive and get to the end. There's 5 laps to go, and he's about to be caught now by the leader. Martin Veed will be well aware of the intentions coming through here. Be watching for those blue flags on the sideline. They'll be waving to him, telling him that Sella's coming. He'll probably hear the big roar of that 1000cc Honda. Doesn't have to worry too much about it. Sella will find a way through as V just steps up his Honda 600cc and allows the big Fireblade to fire through. Nice run here from Sella as he pulls away now. It's gone to the tune of about 7 or 8 seconds ahead. Oh, change up here between the 2 riders for second place in Bridgestone. It's a great run from Sifiso Temba to get through there on Michael du Toit. And in fact, I think Michael du Toit might have just been caught out by riders coming through there and being lapped. I think he mistook Clint Sella for Sifiso Temba, or Sifiso Temba for Clint Sella, and that's allowed Temba to get through. He's coming straight back at him though. Michael du Toit does not want to give this one up, and Sifiso Temba is going to have his work cut out for him going into the closing stages. Sella doesn't have to worry about anything. Got to just keep it upright, smooth and steady, and avoid anything that could potentially go wrong with the big wind that's blowing down the main straightaway. It's the final lap, and he's got a huge margin over David McFadden. So it's plain sailing here for the first time out in Kwabaga for the King Price Extreme and Sella Racing Honda Fireblade. The boys at Honda are going to be happy with this. First victory of the season going to Sella in the friendly city. It looks like he's not going to be too friendly in this format of racing here today. He wants a double victory and wants to close down, possibly even up the points in this championship with David McFadden. To the line, checkered flag is out, and it is Evel Knievel to take the first win of the day there on his Honda. Oh, and his teammate just gets gunned into the final corner. Can you believe that? Perfect timing coming out of Michael du Toit. Sifiso's going to be kicking himself. That'll be third place for him. And just behind that, McFadden coming through for second place overall. So it's Clint Sella who takes the win ahead of David McFadden. Brett Roberts will come through for third place overall, but he takes the win in the Bridgestone Superbike class ahead of Hendrik de Bruin. Hendrik de Bruin will be third overall in the National Superbikes. There goes Brett Roberts to the line. One little look over the shoulder just to make sure. Doesn't have to worry too much about that, that's for sure. Michael du Toit and Sifiso Temba further down the field. So it's Sella from McFadden and Hendrik de Bruin, your top 3. That's 1, 2, and 4 on there. It's Roberts ahead of du Toit, Temba, Veed, and unfortunately a DNF there for Nsana. Let's catch up now with Michael du Toit after his first outing.
Crazy. I remember pulling away and I remember crossing the line. That's it. Everything else is just a blur. Fantastic.
How's it compared to Cape Town?
Much more windy than Cape Town, more grip. Awesome track.
Let's catch up now with race 1 winner Clint Sella for King Price Extreme Honda.
Listen, my Honda's working like an absolute dream. You know, the King Price Honda has found its little wings there, and we're on it. So yeah, I was fortunate there. Lap time was pretty quick in the beginning. I pushed quite hard, and then just watched my pit board from then on. I know Dave's struggling with a bit of an issue, so just got to enjoy the race and take advantage while I can. And then when he gets his problem sorted out, you know it's going to be chaos like always.
Welcome back to action from the SA SBK series here in Kwabaga. Proudly brought to you by NGK, Bridgestone Tires and Hero Motorcycles. Quick circuit cleanup before we get into race number 2. We'll be looking for David McFadden to try and find something special and run with Clint Sella. Sella ran away with it in the first one. Let's have a look and see what's going to happen as they get onto the line and ready to go for race 2. Eyes down, lights off, and we're about to head it down towards turn 1. Good start off the line there from McFadden. Oh, a terrible start in the background by the looks of things there from Martin Veed. Lubabalo and Sana is back in it as well. He'll be looking to try and come through the field as quickly as possible. Maybe give Brett Roberts a run. Let's have a look at that. Watching the background there. A little bucking bronco from Martin Veed. He got that little bit out of shape there. Clutch control is vital off the line, and unfortunately Veed has dropped right to the back now with a huge amount of work to do. Front end though, things looking a little bit hotter than they were in the first one. Lubabalo and Sana's got his Kawasaki all sorted out. Watch out for him to be running at the front end of the Bridgestone Championship, but he's got to try and find a way to catch that man there. The Lights by Linear 600cc of Brett Roberts, who's taken the victory so far and a third place overall. This time he's not too far behind the 2000s. McFadden has certainly got something special on his bike. Maybe they've changed the gearbox up to what he had last year. Remember, last year he was untouchable here in PE. And in the first heat, you could see he battled a little bit there with the gearing. Possibly changing that gearing back to what he had last year, and he's now right there with King Price Extremes Clint Seller. So going to turn 1, a little bit much closer there between the Honda and the R1. Looks like the R6 has lost a little bit of ground there, but look at McFadden looking for a way through here on Seller. Seller is definitely under threat. And there's definitely a lot more concern on Seller's helmet, I can tell you, with that R1 breathing down his neck. Whatever they've done to that bike has certainly worked out. Have a look at this through the S's. Look at the slightly different lines from these two riders, trying to get those elbows and knees down. And great stuff there between the two of them, and two arch rivals going at it again. Remember, if Seller takes the victory here, it's going to even things up in this championship. Yeah, I think a point or so apart between the two of them heading into the next round. But this is what we came to see. And look at that, another example, prime example there of how those two riders are going through and finding different lines to try and find a way through there is David McFadden. McFadden all over the back end there of Seller, and Seller just soaking up the pressure with no issues at all. They've dropped Brett Roberts by a couple of 100 meters. And just in the background, keep an eye out there on the net CB man. That is Hendrik de Bruin sitting in third place in the Nationals. Speaking of third place, here's the battle for third place in the Bridgestone Superbike Championship. It's Michael de Toy going at it with Sifiso Temba. Just ahead of them there was Lubabalo and Sana, and just behind them Martin Veed. Much better run there from Veed in the second heat, that is for sure. After that young 600cc man, he's going to be looking to push hard to try and get up to the front end. Maybe try and find the same kind of pace as Brett Roberts is finding here. His teammates finding pace, and he's looking for opportunities wherever they are. Have a look at that. He goes high and wide. That's the slightly different lines I was just talking about coming out of Chevy Sweep. And he's trying to get that door to open up so he can bang it on the inside into the final corner. But of course, Seller is very wise and wary and knows exactly where to place that fire blade. And there he does it. Goes across and just blocks that line. Does not allow an opportunity there for McFadden to find a way past. McFlash versus Evil Knievel. The two of them going at it again for another lap and completing another lap of this intense action at the front end. In the background, there comes Roberts for third. And Hendrik de Bruin just behind that, trailing the leg into turn 1. Lubabalo and Sana has got that bike all sorted out. The Cape Town Crutchlow man having a super run here at Kwaberga and up in a second place. You're thinking to himself, hang on a sec, this could be the win had Brett Roberts not decided to change his class. But needless to say, it's for second place at this point. And second place and first heating up a little bit more here as we're heading to the closing stages here of race 2. Brilliant stuff here from McFadden, keeping Seller very honest this time. And it's been a lot closer between the two of them, that is for sure. Remember, we head down to the East London Grand Prix circuit just down the road here for round 3 in a couple of weeks' time. And this is the kind of action we're expecting to see. Can you imagine what these 1000cc's on Bridgestones are going to do down through Potters and into Rifle? Last time I think we got to 280 or 290 k's an hour. And you can see just how hard these guys are working. Oh, and there's a late move there from McFadden. He has a big look. But Seller is well wary and knows exactly what to do to place that fire blade in the way of an overtaking maneuver. Another lap completed. Into the closing stages here. Can McFadden find any opportunity and find a way past? He's tried at all points of the circuit and hasn't found any place to get past. It's definitely going to be a lot more difficult for him to get through here. Sifiso Temba has closed up now on de Toy. De Toy could be in a bit of trouble here. I wonder if Michael de Toy realizes how quick the second Honda CBR Fireblade is coming from King Price Extreme. De Toy's already taken the win in terms of the battle between the two of them. Not the win in the class. He was second in the class, remember, behind Brett Roberts. But he's definitely looking to try and get a double here in terms of second places. But that means he'll have to catch Lubabalo and Sana up the road. You can see he's caught and he's stayed with Seller, but he hasn't found a way to get through on him. And McFadden will think to himself, what do I need to do? Look at that. It's just perfect bike placement there from Clint Seller. Running out of Chevy, just running a little bit wide, making David McFadden have to change his mind and possibly spoil his corner speed here into the final turn. It's exactly what we need to do with 3 to go. Down towards turn 1 again. The slipstream opens up, but you can see, it looks like the Honda's got a little bit extra squirt over that Yamaha. And he's just been able to maintain about 2 bike lengths on the straight. And that's when the R1 comes into its own through the twisties. Great handling bikes, both of these. The little R1 from Stunt SA and the RPM Center that McFadden is on certainly has got a great turning ability. They're coming up on some back markers. Could this potentially help out McFadden? That's what he's hoping. They're coming up on Sifiso Temba, who's got through on Du Toit. So Michael Du Toit now in a little bit of trouble here into the closing stages. Looks like he's going to have to try and fight back again, as he did. And I think if he has a go into the final corner like he did in race number 1, Sifiso Temba will be very wise about that and shut the door. But he's got his teammate and McFadden coming up on him big time. And the two of them now are possibly going to spoil the battle. Blue flags waving. I don't think that's for McFlash. No, he'll be a bit concerned about that. I don't think the marshal will realize that that's the 2 leaders coming up. But, of course, similar liveries and similar leathers on those motorcycles. Sometimes they get it all wrong with 2 to go. Du Toit and Temba into turn 1. Is this going to spoil the day here for Michael Du Toit? Is it going to help him out? As we see the 2 leaders closing in on the back markers now. Sifiso Temba and Michael Du Toit. That is currently 3rd and 4th place in the Bridgestone Superbike Championship. And Sella has a look, but he gets blocked slightly there by Du Toit. That's going to give an opportunity here to McFadden. Can McFadden capitalize on this? He's going to have to try and find a way quickly because McFadden is right there with him. He goes around the outside. That is brilliant stuff. Around the outside, and Sella gets through, but McFadden gets blocked this time. Oh, great bit of riding there from Du Toit. Looks over his shoulder, realizes they're coming through, and now Sifiso Temba does exactly what he needs to do. Well, exactly what Clint Sella wanted him to do. Not on purpose, but definitely time to perfection there from Sella. It's opened up about 5 or 6 bike lengths now between the 2 leaders. Temba's bike placement and Sella's overtaking of his teammate has given him a little bit of breathing room into the final lap. That's great riding coming at Kinsella. I think he was looking to try and use his teammate and Michael Du Toit to perfection, and that's exactly what he did with 1 to go. Down towards turn 1, Du Toit also lost out a little bit there to Sifiso Temba with that overtaking maneuver from the 2 leaders. And that's possibly cost him the chance of getting onto the podium here in his second outing. Bridgestone Superbikes led out by Roberts. Second place now is Lubawalo Nsana, and third place Sifiso Temba. 1 and 2 in the National Superbikes are the men watching right now as they come up onto the back end of Lubawalo Nsana. Sella just rolling off ever so slightly through the fast part, then gets on the squirt and into the final hairpin. That's good stuff there from him, and McFadden follows him through. McFadden's only got 1 opportunity to try and make the stick, and it's a final corner that he's going to have to make a dive, but I don't think he's close enough. Sella through Chevy, smooth as silk, and heading up to the top now for the final time. Here comes McFadden. He's going to have a go. He has to have a go. He kind of expected that, but Sella was well aware of where he was coming from. Placed the bike again, and to the line. Here they go for the checkered flag. It's Clint Sella with a double victory on the day, and this time it's McFadden with double seconds. So reversing the role that we saw in Cape Town at the opening round. Coming through will be, a very happy Sifiso Temba, just hanging on to beat out Michael Du Toit in the background. So Temba will take the 3rd spot there, and a great ride there coming out of Michael Du Toit as well. Brett Roberts will take the win ahead of Lubawalo Nsana for 1st and 2nd place in the Bridgestone Superbikes. As you said, Sifiso Temba coming through there for 3rd place, and the final spot on that podium. Martin B just in the background as well, doing a superb job on the 2nd of the 600s. That'll put him in 5th place overall in his class, and coming to the line, Hendrik de Bruin as well, doing a superb job to return to National Superbikes on the NetCB R1. He comes through for 3rd place in the National 1000cc class. Sifiso Temba giving the marshals and medics a big thumbs up there for all the help that they've given us, and a great effort there from his stablemate Lubawalo and Nsana, the 2 of them going at it. I'm sure that we're going to see those 2 a lot closer by the time we get to the East London Grand Prix circuit for the next round. Riders rolling back down into the Park Fermé area now, and some high fives, and I'm sure lots of action that we talked about on the track and down in Park Fermé as Sella takes the win from McFadden. Roberts takes the win in the Bridgestone Superbikes ahead of Lubawalo Nsana and Sifiso Temba. Let's catch up now with Lubs and find out what went wrong in race 1 and what went right in race 2.
Man, it was a difficult one, but I must say I enjoyed this one, although the bike didn't feel the way I normally ride it, but it was a fun one, and I think we needed to finish this heat after the incident in heat 1. I think this one is for the team, the RPM Center guys and McFadden. They put a lot of work on the bike, getting the bike up to start the 2nd heat. So I'm happy for that. This one is for the RPM Center team.
From one member of the team to the other, David McFadden.
Yeah, it was a lot better. I mean, this race we've been battling all weekend with so many extra problems with the bike. We just can't get it back to where it was in the top speed. We have this kind of continuous misfire and it's just not happening. And race 2, the bike was rideable, but just no speed, so it was just pumping me down the straight. But it was cool to actually be in the race and be there. After the first race was kind of embarrassing, to say the least. But yeah, at least we're there, and it's, it's points, and it was a bit at least fun riding because I was actually trying to make some moves and I was there all the time. And unfortunately, we caught the back market and maybe got more of an advantage than I did. But it's racing and I enjoyed myself. But yeah, thanks my sponsor for being here. We'll hopefully be fun soon.
McFadden and Seller equal points heading into the East London Grand Prix circuit round of the Extreme Festival and the SA SBK Championship on the 3rd of July. Incredible stuff. Hendrik de Bruin making a welcome return has moved up into 3rd place, and hopefully we'll get Gareth Gaelig and Garrick Flock back for the next round. Confirmation of that next round at the East London Grand Prix circuit on the 3rd of July. We're going to be there with some live stream action. Make sure you join us on the East London Grand Prix circuit. We'll see you there. All this SA SBK action is proudly brought to you by NGK Spark Plugs, Bridgestone Tyres and Hero Motorcycles.